Hi everybody, this is Darren with Save the Panel, and we are back with part 2 of our $50 bi-directional integration between Home Assistant and the IQ4 panel. Sorry this video got long, but we broke it into 2 bite-sized pieces and hopefully everyone's enjoying. So without much ado, let's get right back to it. Okay, so we're actually doing 2 things here at the same time. One is we're going to connect into that input, that zone input on the IQ Hardwire 16. But also, remember I had the desire up top here to be able to trigger this from the IQ panel backwards. So that meant we needed to have a way for the Shelly to know, did we turn that nightlight on? Are we in nightlight mode or not? So the way to do that is, remember, we separated its input mode here. So we can use this switch input to sense that. Now, the way those switch inputs work, we need to send the 12-volt negative signal through somewhere and bring it back on the switch input for that to be recognized. So we're running that negative 12 volts here to the in of the Zen 58, and then the output side of that comes back to the switch. So when we have triggered the Zen 58 to go into nightlight mode, we're going to tell the Zen 58, close yourself, right? Close your relay. And now the Shelly knows that you're in nightlight mode. Well, we're going to piggyback on that same electrical signal to close the zone here on the IQ Hardwire 16. The only issue is that when that's closed, that's got 12 volts running through it. Now, we could have connected that directly to the IQ Hardwire 16. I did in the lab. It did work. I was just not comfortable sending 12 volts through that particular zone. It really wasn't built for that. So I put in an isolating relay here. It's a 12-volt relay. And if we zoom into this thing just a little bit, you can see what we're doing is, now this is the 12-volt negative signal. So we're bringing in 12 volts to DC plus and to the input monitor on the relay, and what we're actually switching in here is the negative 12 volts. So when this thing is satisfied, when it receives negative 12 volts, positive 12 volts, the relay enables, but we've jumpered the input. So the relay is enabled and it's looking for a high voltage signal, a voltage of 12 volts on the in, and if it is, it will close this relay, closing these dry contacts. So we close these dry contacts, and now this particular circuit is now open. So we have this set up on normally closed. So when there is no action on this relay, this door is closed. When there is voltage on this relay, this door is open. That allows us to use the rule we talked about here, that when that door is opened, turn the lights on. When the door is closed, turn the lights off. And again, this thing uses the same 12 volts and is all within the power budget of the IQ. So I know it seems like a lot. It is a little bit of circular logic here. But what it allows us to do is this entire scene trigger the way we want it to, and we can trigger it from the wall mode, or we can trigger it from the IQ panel simply by going into lights and switches and turning on the Zen 58. So if we just go into here and say Zen 58 turn on, we're going to have our scene kick off. So here's a quick video of what it looks like installed in the panel, and I rigged up a Zen 34 wireless remote in here to take the place of my wall mode just for demonstration purposes. And you can see that when I turn that on, I do the trigger, that you can see the relay light up and hear it click. And then when I turn it off, it disables. And the lights indeed do turn on and off as they should. So one thing we did not talk about is what's the magic and the programming that made all of this happen. So we had a couple of things we had to build in Home Assistant. First off, just some basic automations. So we have here, first of all, that second button on the wall mode nightlight. That simply says when that button is pressed, we are going to, now remember, our input on the Shelly detects whether or not we're already in nightlight mode, right? So I've made that input something called input nightlight mode state, right? Is it running or not running? So if it's not running, if you trigger the button on the wall mode and that is not already running, then we're going to run a script that says turn the nightlight on. Otherwise, if we see that trigger and it is already running, then we're going to turn the nightlight off. That allows me to do one tap for on, one tap for off. I don't have to remember two different tap sequences to turn this thing on or off. Now, what is this script exactly? So let's take a look at that script. So nightlight on is this script. It says to continually execute an action. If the nightlight mode is not running, then we're going to do a single button press on the Shelly, which is a one click, to the Zen 58, which tells the Zen 58 to simply close its local relay. That's all it's doing. And if you remember back here, once this thing closes this local relay, we're going to trigger our IQ sensor. We're also going to send the status back to the Shelly, which is all we need. And of course, don't forget, that's only triggering the IQ side. Now we need to turn on that light stand bulb. So this turns on the nightstand bulb the way we want. Similarly, for nightlight turn off, we're going to do kind of the opposite. So if we're in a run state, we need to be in a not run state. So we're going to do a single press trigger here. That single press now cycles off the Zen 58, which tells the sensor on the IQ to close, which turns off the lights on the IQ side. And then here, of course, we tell the nightstand bulb to disable. So the other automation that we needed was, remember, we were going to trigger from the IQ. So if we trigger from the IQ, all we're doing is we're closing the Zen 58 relay. We're turning it on, which is going to trigger everything on the IQ side. And we know we're going to see a switch input over here, but we need to do something about that so my nightstand light actually turns on. So that's this automation, which is the night light is triggered by the IQ panel. So when that input state goes to running, and if my bulb is not already on, then turn on the bulb and wait for a trigger. And that trigger is for us not to be in the running state anymore. And if we're not in the running state, then turn the bulb off. So that, with those rules in place and those automations, that accounts for both directions, on or off. So that concludes how I spent $50 building this integration between Home Assistant and the IQ4 specific, I know, for a very odd use case, but I have to tell you, it's something I use multiple times a night. It's very handy to have. The best part is I have a number of triggers that I'm not even using here on the 58. So I now have, open slots, so to speak, to trigger additional scenes in the IQ side from the Home Assistant side. And that actually, I forgot all about that. We actually have another one configured. See if I can find it here. Here it is. So on the Home Assistant side, we have, thanks to local code, we actually have smoke detectors that are part of the IQ panel. We also have hardwired 120 volt smoke detectors that cannot be modified, that are based on when the house was built in our jurisdiction. So for those hardwired detectors, I do have a Zeus DC sensor on the monitoring wire for the hardwires that is connected to Home Assistant. So Home Assistant will know, and it'll send me a ping to my phone if those should ever trigger. But I wanted it to also do some things in the home. So this particular automation here is a notification if wired smoke detectors go off. If that zoo's detector says, hey, you're having a notification, does all this great stuff, sends me a note, blah, blah, blah. But here it's running a triple press script. So it's going to do a click, click, click on that Zen 58. And what that's going to do is, if we look here on the Zen 58 triple press, we're going to run a scene called emergency lighting. So it's, that's going to run anyway if the real IQ connected smoke detectors go off, but why not do a little belt and suspenders? And if the hardwired ones are going off and the others are not, then yeah, let's turn on some critical lights in the house and make sure that there's lighting so we can get out of here should those smoke detectors be going off. Thank you for taking this journey with me. I hope this project gives you some ideas on how to make your home automation a little more robust and feature-rich. Please like, follow, and subscribe, and feel free to post your automation challenges on our forum at SaveThePanel.com. We'd be happy to help you. Also, check out the links in the description to all the products featured in this video and other useful information. Until next time, I'll see you online.